Oh. Just going to do a quick sound check on it. Check, check. Just going to do a quick sound check on it. Yeah. All good. Yeah, yeah. It's cold in here today. Almost ready to start here. Championship game for the Florida Rush Tournament. The Florida Lions trying to get some retribution against the Alaska All-Stars for that 6-5 loss during the preliminary rounds. This rink feels a lot colder than I remember. I heard a rumor this morning that we weren't going to have Coach Sean here for this game because his daughter is potential to get drafted for the PWHL. She plays for Yale, so that's pretty cool, but he is here. So it'd be great for the Florida team to win their local tournament here. It's the rematch of the two AAA teams, probably farthest apart in geography here. I was going to try some new software today to get a scoreboard up and some other features, but I decided that without the technical validation, I better just stick to what's been working here. So, but maybe next time. Ready to get underway here, Skate Zone, Palm Beach. Home face-off win by Shell back from Visa. Visa looks wide side for Golding. Hits her. Golding walks the blue line. A little toe drag around, get around the defender. Shot straight on, turned aside by the Alaska goaltender. Nice centering attempt by Visa there, with just a fan on the puck. That pop back up to Kaminsky. Kaminsky goes down the half wall, back to Shell. Shell looking in the middle. Solid offensive pressure here so far. Start this first shift off. Kaminsky dances in. Goaltender almost takes one off the mask there. Wake her up first thing. Kaminsky steps in. Low shot wide. Visa stops that, but she's going to take on three players and manages to come up with the puck again. Drop pass back, intercepted by Alaska. They try to chip and chase. Golding takes care of that, but hits a set of shin pads on the way. Back to Muncy, coming off the bench. Alaska finally gets it out of their own zone. Kaminsky back. Quick pass over to Visa. Another low shot wide. Humphries ties that one up. Alaska retreats into their own zone. And they're just going to throw that length of the ice for an icing. 20:43 left here in the first half. Figured out the 19s and the 16s are doing halves because of the ice mate. The younger divisions are doing 3 periods. Puck back to Pugh. Pugh sends it down the wall off a skate, bounces out to Muncy. Muncy behind the net. She drives. Back to Ceballos. Ceballos chipped back to Muncy on the half wall. She goes to Pugh. Pugh, quick shot right on, rebound. Alaska clears that. Comes out for their, it was going to be their first time in the Florida zone here. That's short-lived at the little poke check on the blue line. Muncy into the slot, looks low. Park trying to redirect that one on the short side. And Alaska's going to send that down again and get out of pressure. Geez, I'm already shivering a bit, so hopefully the gimbal takes that excessive motion out. Suppose I could have dressed appropriate for an ice rink as well. Face-off win. That comes back to Kaminsky. Kaminsky tries to go down the half wall. That's intercepted. Alaska brings that out in neutral zone. Bounce around, intercepted by Visa. Visa some space, cuts in the middle, low drive, catches her own rebound. Backhand attempt goes wide. Alaska again throws at the length of the ice. I think after 5 icings, they should get a penalty shot. Not sure that's a legitimate rule. Another face-off went back to Iaquinto. Off shin pads. Alaska breaks that out of their zone. I think the first real zone entry they've had here. Trip around the park. Park puts it out, but Alaska player is going to throw that right back in. Comiskey to retrieve. Tries to drive up the middle, goes to board by Quinto. That was offside. Little ping pong here in the neutral zone. These boards have a weird bounce, but that's definitely not true. That's Alaska going to throw it down. Pugh to retrieve. Pugh waiting behind her own net, looking for something. Long stretch pass to Golden. Golden brings it back to the neutral zone. Get some speed, go down the wall. Breakout by Alaska, but that's Pugh closes the gap in the neutral zone. Forces them off the puck. That comes back out to neutral zone. Alaska trying to regroup. A little misstep there. Player coming down the wall, cuts the middle. Centering attempt and off the skate for the shot. Anderson chips that one out. Takes on a couple players. Muncie straight off the bench. Over to Ceballos. Ceballos to Pugh. Pugh's got some space here now. She chips it up to Poncer. Muncie intercepts that off. Short side. Shot deflected by the goaltender. Alaska behind their own net. Up to the half wall. That's intercepted, kind of. And that's turned. Humphreys turns back. She's going to chip that in. Light chip. Muncie on the chase. Alaska player loses an edge, but then so does Muncie. Right there to pick it up. Ceballos with a low shot. Big rebound and a goal by Humphreys to open the scoring here with 16:37 in the first. Good low shot by Ceballos to get that through. Big pad rebound. Humphreys taps in for the first goal of the game. Face-off win by Poncer. Visa treats in her own zone. Spins out of a check. Poncer with a backhand. Muncie's on that. Alaska gets her stick on and sends it back down. Icing waved off on the play. Comiskey gets there. Very nice textbook reverse by Comiskey to Visa. Up to Poncer. Got to go back again. Comiskey to Visa. There's some space now through the neutral zone for Visa. Shot attempt deflected off a stick. Alaska sends that to the weak side of the ice. Is able to break it out. Comiskey a tap up the Park. Park hits Iaquinto. Nice little backhand dish to Visa. Visa gets poke check. Alaska coming back. 2-on-1 with Pugh. Takes a shot early. Florida had numbers coming back on the back check, but I think that was maybe the first shot of the game for Leach. Another face-up tied up in the corner. It's Lancaster digging at it. Florida comes out of the corner with it. Poke check by Pugh. Alaska still with possession. Wheeling behind the net, looking for something. Pass back to the D. Goes off the skate and out of the zone. Alaska back to retreat it. Ceballos stepping up. force some movement. He backhands that one up. Park looking for Anderson. Anderson with a nice little steal on the forecheck. Shell on the backhand. That was Golden coming in. Rips one wide. Tobias over the Pugh. He's got some time. Great pass to Anderson on the weak side. Anderson's going to come in. Pad save, deflected to the boards. Golden brings it in. I thought that was offside, but Anderson, Pugh, Ceballos, but then that comes back. 2-on-2 opportunity. Player with some speed. Pugh reaches out to get that one out. Dangerous chance in that transition for Florida. And Florida's going to go to a power play with a tripping penalty called on Cesta, Alaska. 13:42 left in the first half. Score 1-0 for Florida. Poncer with the face-off. Humphrey's not taking the draw. She had a slash to her thumb, so it's making taking the draws hard. That's why Poncer was in there yesterday's game. Oh, Poncer with a point-blank shot on. Humphreys scissors that to Comiskey. Comiskey over to Visa. Visa turns back over to Comiskey. That was close to coming out, but there's still no daylight between the blue line. Another shot right on, deflected. Lass is going to send that down. 48 seconds left in the penalty. Visa behind her, Comiskey behind her own net. Now it's Visa behind her own net. Pass up to Shell. Shell tries to just chip that around, gets tied up. And that's too many players on the ice for Florida. So at 12:43, they'll go to a 4-on-4 here. Four and four for 30 seconds. Anderson tries to throw that down. Alaska spins that back up. Backhand dish, Florida enters the zone. Shot deflected, up in the air and wide. Good pick play. Get out of the end. Comiskey. Oh, Comiskey on the power play. Anderson on rebound attempt. But let's see if they're just going to call a tripping penalty or if they're going to say she was free and clear for a penalty shot here. So they just call a hook on that situation. And we'll stay 4-on-4 for another 57 seconds. And have a power play for 30 seconds at the end of that. 12-11, still score 1-0 for Florida. Comiskey on her knees, puts that back to Visa, who's going to turn in her own zone. Back to Comiskey, who's got lots of space. She brings it up the middle, over to Golden. Golden turns, looks weak side, but that hits a skate, finds its intended recipient. Golden looking for that far side of the net. Muncie turns it back, chips to herself, and then pokes it by. is looking for help in the middle. We got no one in front of the net, but back to Visa. Visa over to Comiskey. Now there's some space. Looking for that backdoor play to Muncy. Muncy up to Comiskey. Back to Muncy. You're going to take a shot, and that's wide open. Goalie bobbles it, and Visa comes in. Pinches from the D to make it 2-0 with 11:06. And I don't know if the penalty expired or not, or if that was a 4-on-4 goal, but I think the penalty had expired, and so that will be the end of the power play. Puck back to Bios. Quick shot over to Pugh. Pugh goes up to Park. Park looking for Lancaster, but that misses its mark. Lancaster, good pressure. Backhand attempt. Pugh had that player tied up, so that's going nowhere. Park over to Lancaster. Bouncing puck, but she still has control of it. Back to Park. Park's going to turn that back. Ceballos has to make a quick play down the half wall. Back up to Ceballos. Another big rebound out. Good chance by Florida there. Quino digging at the puck. They throw that through. Pugh gets it. Pugh hits the post on the short side on that step in from the point. Pugh interrupts that play coming back, and that's going to be offside. Last guy having to retreat out. Tobias goes over to Pugh. Pugh steps back. Wheels around. This will chip off the boards to Park. Park goes for the behind the back leg kick to get that in, but that puts it offside. 9:42. Florida up by a score of 2-0. Sponsor, face-off win. Humphries has that tied up. Muncy straight back to Comiskey. Comiskey over to Visa. Back to Comiskey. Back to Visa. Visa brings that to the neutral zone. She enters on the left side, turns it back. Over to Muncy. Going in. Muncy with a quick step, but back. Visa to Comiskey and McGee. Sponsor with a deflection, but that goes wide. Laska throws it outside, but Comiskey's there to intercept that. Muncy with a nice move to bring it in. Another toe drag, but that gets her turned around a little bit. So Laska with a little bit of speed coming out on him, but a quick stick by Golding. Golding one-on-one. Another toe drag. And that is a goal before the net gets knocked off. So great little toe drag and net drive by Golding put Florida up 3-0 with 8:38 left in the first. Puck back to Visa, face-off win. Over to Golding. Golding goes for the one-touch to Shell, but Laska play there. Visa over to Golding on the weak side. She skates over it. She brings it in, just throws it towards the net. Anderson driving the net on the rebound attempt, but puts that wide. We're going to get a penalty for Florida here with 8:05 left in the first. Just body contact, or they're going to call it interference here. Comiskey backhand to Visa. Visa's going to throw that down there. Well, it's almost the length of the ice, but now it's 2-on-1 with Anderson and Shell. Anderson shoots for far side. The Shell streaking in and gets upended. Crashes into the goalie and knocks the net off. Face-off win by Alaska. That comes out to Comiskey. That's the closest I've got to getting hit by a puck so far from this perch up top of the crow's nest. Lisa turns back over to Comiskey. She's going to fire that the length of the ice. Alaska, it looks like they were trying to ice it there. That goes straight to Visa. Visa stops with quick over, and that's Shell to Anderson. Puck comes up to Visa. He's going to backhand that low. 24 seconds left on the penalty. Most of the play has been in the Alaska zone here. Visa's backhand. She gets a second chance at that. Anderson goes back to Comiskey. Comiskey turns into her own end and behind the net as the penalty expires, but that shot up straight. Alaska player. Comiskey takes some time. Good patience to get a screenshot, but that goes high and wide. Comiskey holds that one in. Sorry, Ceballos holds that one in. Little scuffles around the boards. Alaska's going to turn that back. Poncer in the way of that, so that hits her shin pad. She recovers that. Looking for Humphreys in front of the net. Shot right on. Rebound. That's tipped out. Alaska just fires that wide. Fires that down. Ceballos turns up to Muncy. Pugh's going to bring that back over to Ceballos. Back to Pugh. Up to Park on the wing. Park's going to go all the way back to Pugh. Pugh up to Iaquinto. She's got some space. She's going to walk in over the blue line. Oh, look at the moves. Drives for the short side. Goalie turns that aside. Up to Ceballos. Oh, good deflection. Goalie manages to keep that in play. Ceballos back to retrieve. Over to Pugh. Pugh back to Ceballos. And she's going to go looking up the middle. Lancaster. Shot right on. And Leach will hold on to that for a stoppage and play at 4:41 here in the first period. Score of 3-0 for Florida. Face-off win by Alaska. They send that towards the net, but deflect off a stick. Visa reverses that to Comiskey. She looks up the middle for Iaquinto. That comes back. Good possession here by Florida in this first half. Alaska throws it up the wall. They manage to get out of their zone, and that comes straight back to Visa. That's going to be an offside call. Face-off win. Visa Comiskey. Weak side over to Anderson. Anderson brings it in the zone, tips it around the player. Still jockeying on the board for possession. Anderson slips that one. She walks in, tries to get around the player, gets it on her backhand. Goaltender has to sprawl out to make a save there. Covers it up for a stoppage in play. Face-off goes to the left. Another clean face-off win by Shell. Visa looking for Anderson as a bumper. That one-time attempt goes wide. Golding on the boards with her right now. She tries to put it back, but big body in her way there. Shell going back towards Comiskey. Comiskey managed to keep that one in. Bouncing puck. Everyone looking for it on their feet. Good pinch by Comiskey, and that was a big trip there. And they'll go to the power play again with 3:05 left. Shell. Alaska player gets a stick on it. Comiskey's got to scramble back. Visa, pressure in her own end. Comiskey helps her out of that. Sends it wide to Shell. Shell on the zone entry. Gets it tipped away. Visa going to retreat to her own end. 1 minute left in the penalty. Quick up to Comiskey. Anderson brings that in. Looking for Shell. Play interrupted by Alaska. Visa brings that back in with speed. She's backhand attempt goes wide. That puck gets iced all the way down. Pugh back to retrieve. Pugh up to Shell. Over to Muncy. Muncy tries to backhand that one. Alaska manages to send that deep. 10 seconds left for a penalty. Visa back to Pugh behind her net. Also can't quite handle that pass, and that flips out to the neutral zone. Pugh takes it in, carries it in. Dangles around the player. Looking for that center lane. Had a couple people are just short of the stick. Muncy backhand to Humphreys. They got numbers. Muncy chips out behind the Alaska net. Puck goes cross ice. Back again. Hugh stops the player. Nice pass to Muncy. Muncy drives big rebound. Hugh with a little backhand chip. There, goalie turns aside. That's Park battling in the corner for it. Alaska brings it out and puts that to the middle. In on Hugh. Takes her wide. Backhand attempt dead on with 26 seconds left. Easily stopped by Leach there. We had 26 seconds left in the first half. Florida team up by 3 goals, 3-0. Ceballos over to Pugh. Pugh is looking for Iaquinto streaking up the middle, but stick deflects that into the bench. So go back for a face-off to the left of Leach with 18.6 seconds left on the clock. Face-off win, straight back to Pugh. Pugh over to Ceballos. Ceballos goes off the glass, but that hits a pair of shin pads, looking for Iaquinto streaking. That's going to be enough to just finish off this first half. Florida with a strong period. Up 3-0. And we'll go for an ice make and be back here in 15-ish minutes here. I've got to go warm up. Hopefully outside is going to do that for me. Here we go, almost ready to start the second half of this game. Had to go out and get some radiant energy from the sun to stay warm here for the second half. We're waiting for everything to get going. A special shout out to Ren and Wade who are watching the game. If you can hear this, make some noise so your mom can hear you. Cheering on Mason and the rest of the Florida Alliance. A dominant performance by Florida in the first half of this game. Score 3-0. Coming into the second half. I'm cold because I'm wearing shorts. Yes, and no socks and deck shoes. Yes. But it hasn't been that cold in this rink here until today. So. Face-off win. Comiskey back to Visa. That gets intercepted by Alaska. Picked out by Anderson. Chips it out to the middle. Golden on the pursuit. Back to the neutral zone. Back to Visa. She's going to turn back. Cuts into the middle. Has some space. She puts it out. Goalie picks that out right into the slot. Alaska managed to recover that and bring it back into the Florida zone. Florida, centering attempt, goes through the slot. Anderson up to Golden, back to Anderson. Anderson touches around the player just a bit too far. She picks the puck back up and cycles it back down to Golding in the corner. Golding steps out, turns back. Let's have a look. That's Comiskey here. We're in the middle of a line change on our D. So Comiskey back to Pugh. He's going to go back to Comiskey. Straight up to Golden. Golden loses that off the end of her stick. Pugh's looking for Pugh on the weak side. Pugh goes in on the forecheck, a rare forecheck. Comiskey back to Pugh. Little bounce pass behind the net to Comiskey. Chip straight up to Humphreys. Humphreys in with a little bit of speed, but knocks that into the corner. He goes to Muncy. Muncy right in the slot. I think Lasky gets a stick on that. She had a good spot, high blocker there to shoot for. Laska finally chips that into the neutral zone. Some speed coming in, beats Pugh. And Alaska ends up opening the scoring in the second period here. At 2013, to break the scoreless and the shutout for Leach. Win by Alaska. It's thrown in. Down by Visa, back to Comiskey. Drop back off to Visa over the park. Wide. Comiskey up to the middle. And Comiskey on a little move to her backhand. Gets that goal right back. Answers back probably 15 seconds later here, 1950, 4-1. Looks a little bit of the wind out of the sails of that Alaska goal. Park fires that in. And around Lancaster on forecheck. He tries to cycle back to Iaquinto. Iaquinto back to Visa. Visa, no one there for that backhand pass. Alaska brings that up. Looking for a shot dead on. Turned aside by Visa before that gets into a dangerous spot. Visa off the wall. Alaska goes one touch to the middle. They try to backhand it, but Iaquinto's there to cause some havoc. It gets turned back to Alaska, goes rink wide. They throw it towards the middle. Sort of the most sustained pressure Alaska's had here in the game. Comiskey again brings that up. She's got Golding with her. Play broken up by Alaska with a stick on the ice. They wave off icing. Ceballos back to retrieve. He puts it back to Anderson. Anderson up to Ceballos. Ceballos. They called that stick check here offside. I didn't see where the other player was. They'll set up for a face-off here. Face-off win, back to Ceballos. Ceballos looking for something there. He throws it up the boards. Steve Shell coming in. Accepts that neutral zone pass to bring it in the zone. Good play by Anderson, tie up that puck. Puck comes out. Hugh takes that player out. As Golding picks up the loose puck. Golding still with the puck, but loses that in front. Run out, dangerous scramble here. Alaska tries to turn and fire, but Hugh over on the boards. He's stepping in. Goes for the back. Oh, sorry. Backhand sauce over to Anderson that just kind of misses. Hugh with the shot. Oh, that's a dinger. That quick one-timer there off the post. And that gets sent down for an icing. 16:57 left. Score 4-1 in favor of Florida. Sponsor with the face-off for Florida. That goes to the Alaska team. They bring that out, but lose control of it. That goes Visa up to Comiskey. Sponsor with the one touch into the middle. That's offside. Face-off win by Alaska. They're looking up to the center. That gets taken up by Ponce. They managed to bring the puck in and throw that in deep. Comiskey on the retrieval. Takes player hard into the boards. He still got the puck, but rims that around to Muncy. Muncy hits Visa up the middle. Visa steps in the zone. Picks up the puck again. We're going to have a tripping penalty as the Alaska player catches the skate of Visa. 16-12, and they will go on the power play again. Shell to take the face off. Anderson, Golding, Comiskey, Visa out there. Golding back to Comiskey, over to Visa. Looking for Anderson at the bumper. That goes wide. They manage to throw that down the length of the ice. Leach plays out to Visa, but she's going to bring it back a little bit. Nice pick by Comiskey. Really good read there to get in the way of that player. Trying to force Visa to do something with it. She brings it down, centering the Shell. Shell doesn't get a hold of that, so that goes in the back to Golding up at the point. She winds up for a slap shot, low and hard behind the net. That puck gets bounced out to neutral zone. Golding's going to turn that back up ice. She chips it to herself. I think the Alaska player gets there quick. Comes off the stick of Comiskey. 30 seconds left in the penalty. Visa goes back to retrieve the puck. Visa cuts the net. This little backhand up to Shell. Shell brings it in over the blue line. Gets taken out. Visa picks the puck back up. She's right in the slot. Low hard shot. Rebound picked up by Comiskey. Visa back to Golding. Over to Visa on the half wall. Looking for a centering attempt there, and Comiskey on the back door, but that goes wide. Visa gets poke checked. That comes out to Comiskey. Comiskey gets it through. Golding with another toe drag. Puck comes straight out to Anderson, but bouncing puck just jumps over her stick. That open net there. Alaska centering play as they go back to full strength. Puck strips out. Alaska has to retreat and regroup in the neutral zone. They send it to the middle. Alaska across the line to the left side. Drop pass intercepted by Lancaster there to tie things up. Lancaster still digging. Puck comes back. Pugh retrieves that behind the net. Pugh up to Park. Park steps to the middle. He brings it in and rims it around. Quinto there. Back to Ceballos. Ceballos gets pickpocketed from behind. That comes out to Pugh. Pugh brings that back over Ceballos. Pugh. Down pass. Just a little beyond Park's stick. Ceballos back into their own zone. Hits Quinto coming through the middle. Quinto's going to bring that back. Ceballos again. Cross ice over to Pugh. Pugh looking for Lancaster in the middle. Just a bit ahead of her stick. So that'll go down for an icing with 12:44 left. Score still 4-1. Florida comes up with the puck after a face-off. Poncer on the hunt. It goes in the zone. Bouncing puck gets around Muncie. Alaska looking for something, but they're double teamed by Florida. They finally decide to match that battle. Puck pops out. Shot deflected high and wide. Hugh throws that around the boards to the weak side. Ceballos pokes that forward to Humphreys. Humphreys gets that out of the zone. Alaska comes back with some speed, but that's kind of handled quite easily by the Florida D. Ceballos on the reverse to Pugh. Up to Golding. Golding's going to take that cross ice. He's got a 1-on-3, managed to beat the player. Big rebound off that pad save by the goalie. So Alaska's back up to the neutral zone. Golding on the back check, upends that play. That's going to go down just a little bit beyond the reach of Shell to be called an icing with 11:22 left. Face-off will go to the right side of Leach in the Florida zone. Face-off tied up. That's Anderson digging for the puck. She managed to get that out. Golding picks it up through the middle. Golding spending some time, but can't quite get it through deep. Alaska brings that out through the neutral zone. Looking for a centering option, but it's pads on the way. Anderson dumps that out to neutral zone. Alaska regroups. Miscue on the center lane, and Anderson picks that puck up. She's got some gap here. She turns it back, and Alaska's going to kick that out, clear the zone. Visa back to retrieve. And bounce pass over to Park, waiting at the blue line. That goes to Anderson. She can't quite handle it on the backhand here. Oh, little leg tackle. Little soccer yellow card there on Anderson on the half wall. Goniski with dances. Puts up a Lancaster underneath. Lancaster shot off the side of the net. She's still driving. Alaska managed to intercept that, but quick poke check. Lancaster over to Park. Park was just turned the wrong way. She had a wide open lane to the net there. Goniski decent player, steps in the slot, but that goes off the set of shin pads. Alaska turns it around. Comes in the zone on the right side, but tied up by Visa. They managed to look for a centering attempt and trying to get a stick on things here. Spin and shot that misses its mark. Visa comes up, banks that into the Alaska zone. They look at a 2-on-1 situation. Hugh forces that into a shin pad. Takes care of that dangerous situation quite quickly. Poncer looking for help on the D, but Hugh drops in. Vortex regains the puck. Turns back. Alaska reverses it up the wall. Humphries there. Force them to chip it out. Muncy back to Pugh. Over to Humphries. Alaska, good player wide right now. They can't seem to get that through. Alaska stifled whenever they cross the blue line. So I haven't been able to put anything together. Center lane to Muncy. Alaska picks that one off. Ceballos retreats into her zone with the puck. She reels and spins out of that and reverses Golding. Nice pass over to Muncy. Muncy tries to drag through, but gets upended. Ceballos hits that one, keeps it in with the tip of his stick. Golding back. Ceballos steps around. She throws around and loses a player. Puts that in deep to Anderson. Anderson looking for a pass back to the point, but splits the D. So that comes back. Hugh with the long stretch to Shell. Drop pass to Anderson. Anderson's going to take that in. He's looking for center, but no one in front of the net. Alaska comes out with some speed here. He takes the body on that one and stops that play dead in its tracks. Michelle's going to rim that in and go for a break, go for a water break. puck back to Visa. 6:44 left in the second half here. Nice pass by Visa. Up to Anderson. Up to Park. Park had a good lane, but that just comes off the defender's stick and goes wide and high. Alaska transition back on the rush. Punched out by a blocker by Leach there. Visa up to Park. Park gets some speed. She can beat that player. He comes in. I don't know if that shot was off the crossbar or if it went wide, but he had the player beat. Again, pass ends up going, splitting the D. Comiskey, long pass Iaquinto. Iaquinto, the one touch. This is the intended player, but Park picks that up. Iaquinto over to Comiskey. Comiskey over to Visa. Visa with a great backdoor look for Iaquinto coming in, and puck just off her stick wide of the net. Comiskey drifts one up. Here comes Alaska on the rush, bringing in the left side. Step, big slap shot. Haven't seen many of those this game. Alaska has some speed. Humphries intercepts that. Kills that play, trying to hit Poncer up the middle. Five minutes left in this second half here. Still score of 4-1. Another punch-out blocker by Leach. Lisa runs into a little bit of her own player on the drive up, so she turns it back with the neutral zone. Pushes that off to Golding. Shot right on. Humphries looks to wind up, but hits a pair of shin pads, so they've got to retreat. That comes back to Pugh. She brings that back over to Visa. Back to Pugh in her own end. Over to Muncie, that's a one-touch to Pugh. Pugh with a hard shot, dead on. It was 1-on-2 on the D. That'll be a face-off to the Alaska goaltender's right here with 4:14 left in the second period. Second half, should I say. Win by Alaska. They go for this chip up the middle. Ceballos to retrieve. He turns that off the glass and out. Alaska picks that up. Pugh intercepts and a quick up to Golding. Golding looking for the middle. Another good chance by Anderson picking up that loose puck there. Goaltender holds on to keep the score at 4-1. Good face-off win by Shell again. Been pretty solid this game on face-off. Ceballos. Nice move to put it down the half over Anderson, but that gets broken up by Alaska. Oh, nice stick. Great stick by Ceballos, and then another nice play by Ceballos. Alaska tried to chip that out. Oh, nice play. Puck sitting there. He managed to keep that in, and she walks in. Chips off puck. Then goes for a short side, and the goalie's going to sprawl to cover that. Get a stoppage in play with 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Alaska's had a little bit more glimpses of offense here this half, but not enough. It's been all Florida here for this last little bit. They're going to ice the puck with 3:03 left in the half. Lancaster to take the draw. Quick win out to Pugh. You had to get some reflexes there to keep that one in. Park with a shot dead on, turned aside. That comes back up to Pugh. Pugh throws it in the far corner. All right, Quinto battling for it. Laska comes up with it on the rush. Ceballos, good gap control, stops that. All right, Quinto picks up a misplayed puck. She was looking for Park, but the puck drifted off her stick. Then Park streaking to the net. Hugh breaks up that shot attempt with a stick. Ceballos battling a couple players in the corner here. Comes out to the Alaska point. They're just going to chip it back down the half wall. Lancaster digging. Puck comes out. He defends that player. Ceballos with the puck again. He's going to turn that back. Hugh's got some space here. He's looking for a centering pass. Goes off the skate of Park. Humphreys is going to pick that up. Hugh just gets cross-checked in the back, and that's going to be a power play for Florida if they can manage to touch the puck. Shot right on by Pugh. That's picked aside. Once he was there looking for the rebound on that pad save. The 1:29 left in the second half, and Florida will be on the power play for that entire time for the remaining part of the game. Face-off win by Alaska. They go to chip it all the way down. Comiskey stops that, but that ends up being just outside of the blue line. So offside on the play. Anderson back to Comiskey. Face-off win. Comiskey's going to go back to Visa. I think you'll see them just chew down the clock as much as possible here. Visa drives around the pressure and cuts the net. She comes up left side. Puck gets deflected out. Golding with a nice play, followed by Comiskey. That player had a head full of steam coming in on the shorthanded attempt. Golding drifts that along the blue line just a little too long and puts her player offside with 46 seconds left here in the second half of this game. Face-off win over to Murphy. Alaska chips that around, and they're going to send that the length of the ice. Leach brings that aside for Visa. Visa kills a little bit of time, brings it up ice, and she's going to turn back. He almost loses the puck in that play. Finally puts it to Comiskey. It's going to go back to Visa. Just not even going to attempt a shot on net, and they're just going to play keep away for the remaining couple seconds of the game. And go on to win after a little bit of a shaky start in the first few games. Well, let's say in the first 3 games for Florida Alliance. They managed to win their last 2 games pretty commandingly when it counts, and will go on to win the Florida Rush 19 AAA division. So, dominating performance here by Florida in this game against Alaska All-Stars. Zam driver looking anxious there, but I think they're I don't know if what they do as far as presentation, but try to get down to ice level here if I can navigate a ladder that I signed a waiver, so if I fall, I can't sue the ring. Safety first. There we go, the team pitcher. So good win to cap off the MLK Florida Rush weekend for Florida. And I think I might need to be on photo duty here, so I will sign off and try to take some pictures so we have something to put in a book for January. So thanks everyone for tuning in.